The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it secured a total of 2,220 convictions across all its commands in 2021. The figures emerged from a review of the Commission's performance in the outgone year. It shows that the Lagos command of the agency recorded the most convictions with 481 convictions. The Ibadan command followed with 324 convictions, while the Port Harcourt Zonal Command had 230 convictions. The Commission says the convictions secured in 2021 are the highest by the EFCC since inception. Commenting on the performance, the Executive Chairman of the EFCC, Abdulrasheed Bawa, commended the personnel of the Commission for their industry and dedication, despite the challenges of criminal prosecution in Nigerian courts. Right, for more on this, Wilson UWUJAREN, the spokesman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, is joining us remotely. Thank you so much for joining us on News Night. Well, let's begin with your press release where, the chairman, Abdulrasheed Bawa, did commend the men and women, of course, of the EFCC, but, said in spite of challenges of criminal prosecution in court. Tell us more about these challenges. What exactly are they? What are the obstacles? And how have you been able to overcome them?
Well, thank you for having me. Well, criminal prosecution in Nigeria is not an easy task. And given our background, over these past 18 years, you will appreciate the fact that getting corruption cases to move in Nigerian courts is quite Herculean, especially when you are talking about grand corruption cases. Most times, the defendants in those matters are not in court to get justice. All they want is to delay the process of adjudication and frustrate the prosecution of those cases. We had instances where you have cases staying as long as 10 years and more in court. So it's quite challenging to prosecute cases. And most times, you also find a situation in which 2-3 years, you are only talking about preliminary issues. You are not even touched substantive matter. Even on preliminary issues, sometimes the defendants take us to Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court and back before you make any progress. So given that background, it's quite encouraging that we're able to record over 2,000 convictions in the last 1 year. And for us, 2021 is quite peculiar because it's a year in which judicial workers were on strike for more than 3 months, and most of our cases didn't make any progress. We were not even able to file fresh matters in those months. And so to be able to achieve the record that we achieved in that year for us is a milestone.
Yes, it's indeed a milestone, 2,220 convictions. But how would you want to categorize these convictions? I know conviction is conviction for fraud, for any criminal activity that falls within your ambit. Were there percentage level, politically exposed people, civil servants and the rest, and of course the usual internet fraudsters?
I think it cut across. It involves both cybercrime, politically exposed person, when you are talking of grand corruption and money laundering, and etc. But the majority I must confess, are cybercrime cases. 60% of those convictions are cybercrime cases. But we also have a number of high-profile convictions that were recorded in 2021. I will just mention a few of them. We were able to at least convict 2 high-profile bankers. You are aware of the case of Oke Nwosu, former MD of Finbank. You also have Francis Atuche, former MD of Bank PHB. You have Abdulrasheed Mena and his son, Feza. Those are high-profile matters that we took to court and achieved conviction in 2021. High-profile matters, prosecution of those cases are quite challenging because those who are involved have resources to stretch the judicial process, and for you to be able to pull through all those challenges and get conviction is quite encouraging.
Now, speaking of high-profile, politically exposed convictions, there is a perception in some quarters that the EFCC is merely a witch hunt instrument to, witch hunt political opponents and all of that. And would you say that one of the major challenges that the EFCC has is interference, maybe political interference, maybe from the executive?
Well, that's a sentiment that has been expressed severally over the years, but no one has been able to provide any evidence of those claims. I've been in the FCC for more than 17 years, and I've not seen anybody that would to court that come out to say, okay, the allegations that were leveled against me, I'm totally innocent of them. What they will tell you most times is that, why are you going after me? After all, I'm not the only one. You have not touched Mr. B, you have not touched Mr. C, so why are you touching me? No one has come out to say they were completely innocent of the allegations against them. So, as far as I know, the commission is not an instrument of witch hunt. We have never witch hunted anybody, and I don't think we will witch hunt anybody in the future. As an agency, we have standard operating procedure. Our processes are quite streamlined, and we follow the law. The laws are there, and then if anybody violates the law, the onus is on us to make sure the person pays for it.
Yeah. Very quickly, let's review the latest Supreme Court judgment, which says that you cannot, or debarring you from, prosecuting state government officials and the rest, finding financial fraud or crimes against them. How is the EFCC reacting to that?
I think that issue, the case judgment, is not part of the cases that will be prosecuted in 2021. But having said that, your comment, for the sake of your listeners, I think is part of the information that has been circulated widely in the social media. For us, is part of misinformation. I'm not a lawyer, and I know that the commission has not yet taken a position on that matter. But from what I have read and my analysis of the situation, what the Supreme Court decided on was an issue. The major issue was the issue of whether perversion of justice is an economic and financial crime. And they took a decision that perverting justice is not an economic and financial crime. That is the position of the Supreme Court. The commission is reviewing that judgment. But there is nowhere in that judgment, from all I have read, I have seen the certified true copy of the judgment. I have not seen anywhere in that judgment in which the apex court stripped the commission of the powers to investigate or prosecute certain categories of financial crime, or either at any tier of government. So those who are circulating that information are trying to befuddle the matter and mislead the public.
What about your reaction to allegations of executive interference, namely the Attorney General of the Federation being in charge of the EFCC?
I can recall that a few weeks ago we issued a statement to that respect, and it was abundantly made clear that there is no issue of interference in the work of the EFCC. No one interferes in our work.
All right.
All right. Thanks so very much, Wilson UWUJAREN. He's the spokesman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Thanks.